This is season 2, episode 8, and you're listening to Apparently It's Flattery. Hi guys, welcome back to my podcast. I'm your host Zoya. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. And this week we're talking about cultural appropriation. I thought it was a great episode following, my last one about culture. And I feel like I'm just gonna kind of evolve with it for a bit, just because anybody who knows me knows that like cultural appropriation and all the different like avenues it kind of goes into is like a really big interest of mine, mostly because I'm tired of other people profiting off of Black people and Black creativity and the Black experience without any sort of real repercussions. You get to release your little apology and everybody thinks like everything's okay, and they're like, it's okay, like, they're sorry, okay? I'm not a part of the Black community, but I just know that so-and-so is, like, really, really sorry that they did that. And they're gonna do it again, but they'll be, like, just as sorry. Anyway, so let's just dive right into it. So, all my best episodes, which is clearly all of them, start off with a definition. And this one is for cultural appropriation. Cultural appropriation takes place when members of a majority group adopt cultural elements of a minority group in an exploitive, disrespectful, or stereotypical way. So what's wrong with cultural appropriation? You're like, Zoya, we've been heard this before, okay? You are not the first person nor the last who will be doing a video on what is cultural appropriation. And so I've decided to offer you another one. Here is your other explanation of why cultural appropriation is like so messed up. So I think when it comes to the creative industry, arts, fashion, music and such, is probably the best and easiest way to like point it out. When it comes to like fashion, for instance, there's countless cases of brands that have been accused of appropriation. Countless. You could probably list like 3 off the top of your head right there. And normally in like the recent years, it's followed by like a PR pre-constructed like apology. I'm like super sorry for not considering the way that my actions may impact another person. Even though we did learn about like caring for others when we were in kindergarten, I was actually away that day, and so I did not learn the lesson myself. And now that I'm a grown person, I hope that you do not take my actions to represent who I am as an individual, because I did the actions, but like, that's it. I'm sorry. Don't be mad at me, because as humans, we're just like learning and growing all the time. And no, I am not taking any active work to like educate myself. But I'm like really sorry. And like, I think that the people in my life just know that like I have like really like good intentions. So I'm so sorry. Sorry. No, I'm joking, but that's what it sounds like to me, okay? And so you have brands like Comme des Garçons in their men's autumn/winter 2020 show, where they had like white models wearing wigs that resembled cornrows. Was it like that much harder to just hire Black people to like have the cornrows? Or does that not like fit into your like fashion aesthetic? I don't know. Right? So obviously things have changed a bit, but we have appropriation of like indigenous like garbs when it comes to like Coachella. That was like the biggest thing. Everybody's like, what's the Coachella aesthetic? And people were like, it's boho. Just put a lot of feathers in your hair and like you'll be fine. Weird. And then obviously we just find these things from other cultures, we repackage it, print it with a pretty little label, i.e. like the clean girl aesthetic, and it's brand new and it's like oh so cool, and we get to upsell it for like millions of dollars and talk about, ethical consumption and whether or not we should be buying it. So people argue that nothing is new under the sun, right? So how is someone really stealing from someone? But I think it really has to do with this sense of entitlement and ownership. And it could possibly be like a symptom of colonialism. This idea that we're allowed to go into a space and if we say it loud enough and proud enough, we can claim that it is ours and always was, that we get to run the show, that as long as we think that we know better than the people or the area that we're in, then it's ours to claim. This idea that we're entitled to everything, right? Like, and anything as long as we want it bad enough. Like, I just have to want it really bad, and it is other people's fault for not including me. I just have to want it like so bad, and maybe cry a little, and then it's owed to me, right? Like that is a justification that I deserve it, and therefore it is yours to give to me, and freely. You better do it nicely with a smile. So I did some research, like I normally do to prep for these episodes. And I think one thing that I came across that really like stood out to me and I want to share as well is the idea that like appreciation cannot exist in the same space as ignorance, okay? You see images of like Katy Perry wearing cornrows as like a gimmick in a music video. Do you look at her and think that oh, she's very aware of the impact and the role that like braids played in Africa during like the 15th century, right? So how big of a deal hair is, but specifically braids, obviously, because she's wearing these cornrows. Like, was she aware that you're using it to distinguish age, religion, social rank, like maybe even marital status? Or does she understand that it's a form of bonding? And I say that even today, the process of like getting your hair done, I would say sometimes it's more of like when you're in familiar settings, sometimes not, but like, for me growing up, having my mother braid my hair, like you're in such an intimate position, or I was with my mother, where it's like I'm sitting between her legs and she's braiding my hair. Her hands are on me, she's creating on my head, that sense of bonding, the time we're spending together. And if you're tender-headed, then the care sometimes people have to like pay to you because they're working in your head. Like, is she aware of that? Does she understand how much, how demeaning and like traumatic it would have been to have people shave your head off during the Atlantic slave trade, stripping you away of a piece that is your identity? I know for me, my hair is my identity, okay? I could go without a lot of things, but I could not go without my hair being done. And maybe that speaks to a lot of other issues or privileges. I don't know, it depends how you look at it. But I will let you know that I would give up having my nails done, and they're not currently done at this moment. Okay, I would give up having my nails done. I would give up wearing makeup, because the girlies who know that getting a fresh braid up clears your skin. No, okay? Getting a fresh braid up, you're beautiful. Like, there's something about having like new hair. You're a new hairstyle, new hair done, that I just glow from the inside. I would give everything else up, even a good outfit, and I love a good fit, okay? I spend a lot of money monthly putting new pieces into my closet. I would forego all of that just to have my hair done, okay? And you're sitting here being like, does she understand that? Like, does she understand the connection that, black people have to the hair, past the oh yeah, like hair means a lot to black people? And I'm saying that because I got Brady Bunch, racist Brady, living in my house, and she didn't understand, and she would swear to you up and down, how inclusive and understanding she was. And I bet if I put some cornrows in her hair, she would have been happy. And she didn't understand, the importance that like black hair has for black women, because the moment she upset me with some other insensitive comment, she was quick to reach her hand over and like pet my head to say like, your hair is nice. And when I tell you, my brain short-circuited. Like, I didn't know what to do. At the time I had done like nothing, and then I realized like, no, like in my heart, like it's burning me to like let this go. Like I can't let this go. Like, this is my home, this is supposed to be my safe haven, and this girl is touching me up like I'm a doll. And so I remember I had texted her and I was like, listen, like I didn't want to embarrass you in front of your friends, but I'm gonna tell you this once and just once. Don't ever touch me, especially my hair, ever again without permission. Oh my God, I'm like so sorry. Like, I just like didn't understand the impact that like, black hair has for like black people. Like, I'm just like so sorry. Like, I didn't realize this was a big deal. Like, I just touch my friends' hair all the time and like they don't care. Like, so sorry. Are you serious? Anyway, so, you know, we're sitting here talking about Katy Perry and her cornrows, and I'm just sitting here letting you know that, do you really think that she understood the depths, you know? Was she ignorant of the importance that braids have, like, for the Black culture? So how could there ever be appreciation in a space where you know nothing about the thing you're supposed to appreciate, right? Like, people get it all the time when it comes to, like, you know, these white rock bands where they're like, you're wearing so-and-so's t-shirt? Well, name me his 5th album. What is track number 8? At 3 minutes and 32 seconds in, what is the percussion used? Oh, you can't find that answer? You don't know? You are ignorant? You're unaware? Well, you must not appreciate. Therefore, your access is revoked and you cannot wear that shirt. And so how come when it comes to, like, the consuming of other people's culture, when people put these, like, you know, things out there, these questions they pose to you that, like, hey, maybe you should understand and be aware of what you're doing, people are like, no, like, it's not that serious. When did you get to decide it's not serious? It's sick. It's sick. And so I just want to say, like, Katy Perry, it's not just hair. Okay? You have, okay guys, I love TV. It's funny because I had this manager I was working with one time. I don't work there anymore, but, like, I was working at this job, and he told me, he was like, you watch a lot of TV. And I was like, what? Like, honestly, I won't lie to you, I felt like he was coming for my neck. Like, there's nothing wrong with watching a lot of TV, obviously, but I was like, is he saying it in a nice way? What do you mean I watch a lot of TV? But he was like, you watch a lot of TV, and, you know, I do watch a fair amount of TV. And so I just finished Never Have I Ever. It is a good show. I definitely recommend it. In one of these episodes, Davey's wearing a bindi because it's the Neverty celebration, right? And so the bindi is thought to enhance the power of the third eye, you know, accessing inner wisdom. But what I want to point out, what it isn't, is some quirky Lululemon girly way. But it goes back to a long history, an ancient history of Hindu practice, right? So you have people taking these things from other cultures. I'm saying the bindi, but even, like, the third eye. No, guys, I wasn't going to say this, but I got another story. So, you know, quirky little Miss Racist Brady, I remember when she first moved in, she had put up a bunch of decorations around her room. So one of my roommates, like my good one, obviously my friend, you know, she had gone up to her, because this was the beginning, you know, we're still playing nice and being friendly, and she'd gone up to her and she was kind of like, oh my gosh, like, cool, where did you get these from, sort of thing, and, like, trying to start a conversation about, you know, the evil eye, and the girl was just like, oh no, like, I just thought they were cool, like, I'm just hanging around my room. I just thought they were. There is no appreciation where there is ignorance, okay? Like, there is no appreciation where you do not understand what you are doing. You know, we can talk about Elvis's growing fame and notoriety for something that wasn't his. That's why I say borrow, like some of you girlies do at the store. I'm joking. I'm saying that because I worked in retail, okay? I had to stop some of you guys at the door. I had to be empty your pockets to the little 14-year-old. So I just want to say, first of all, there have been so many movies on or starring Elvis, okay? Like, how much more do we need? I know people have been saying this, but no, actually, like, how many more do we need, okay? Like, yes, we have a movie about, like, Little Richard, but that was 20 years ago, okay? We're talking, like, early 2000s. And Elvis just got another movie, like, I'm Tired, okay? Like, can you imagine how big Mama Thornton would have felt knowing that all we do is praise Elvis? And a song like Hound Dog, and just so you know, they sampled it in Doja Cat's Vegas song, but, like, somebody like her, who initially sang the song, sold over 1 million records, right? Like, Hound Dog sold over 1 million records, and she only received $500 from it? Are you on crack? Like, what? Do you know how upsetting that is? And I know, because maybe it's because I'm a fire sign, but it burns me on the inside when somebody gets, like, credit and kudos for something that, like, I did, where you have 2 million copies being sold of a song you sung, to have some next boy sing it in like a lower octave at a slower tune than you, and he's making more money. And it's not because he's more talented. Like, I would argue that it's not because he's more talented, but because he's more palatable. But because I'm not the favored version of what you want to hear and see. Somebody else is making more money than me, and this is not a collaboration, but a sense of borrowing. You have me messed up. And it is clear, anybody who says differently is lying to you, but it is clear that Elvis Presley would have not been as famous as he was if he was black. Half of that reason is he wouldn't be able to use other black people's song and just sing it and become famous off of it. And then the other thing is, he wouldn't have been in the position to have so much access and privilege to be able to go to these big stages in an arena. Like, hello, that's why they chose him to make money. Like, they knew that he was more palatable, right? And you have people like, you know, Chuck D from Public Enemy questioning who even gave Elvis the title king. Okay, and I was talking to my friend, you know, this weekend about, you know, King of Pop, because I saw this TikTok and, you know, it was doing numbers, but basically people are saying that Harry Styles is the new King of Pop. I'm sorry. You can't go from someone like Michael Jackson to go to like Harry Styles as like the king of pop. I'm just also questioning, like, what is the criteria then to be the king of pop? What exactly is Harry Styles? And this is like, listen, I know you fans out there are ride and die and you would do whatever for Mr. H, but just sitting here, just thinking, like, what does he do that is like change the way that we like look at music or consume music or listen to music? Well, I mean, I know maybe there was a time where people were wearing pearl necklaces because he was wearing it, but guys, they don't do it like Michael Jackson. They don't do it like Michael Jackson. You can't go from him to Harry Styles for the king of pop. I would even say like Justin Bieber, okay? He has features with the biggest artists. Like, he dances, he does it all. Like, Harry Styles puts on a sparkly outfit. Like, okay, actually, I saw Harry Styles on the internet, but I saw Harry Styles' Coachella performance this year, and I was sitting here wondering, like, why wasn't Doja Cat headlining? I'm just saying, when it talks about, like, that stage presence and that performance, I'm not thinking Harry Styles. He's not the first person that's coming to my head. How is he the king of pop? And so me and my friend, we offered like Bruno Mars even, not Justin Timberlake's, because, you know, I got so much beef with him with the Janet thing, could never. But you want to go from Michael Jackson to Harry Styles, couldn't happen. Anyway, I'm sitting here wondering too, who named Elvis, you know, the king? Right? And you know, Chuck D goes on to basically say that he was no more king than like Chuck Berry. And you could say this because he's singing their songs. So many argue, lots of arguments, guys. You know, a lot of people are going to bat, okay? You have die-hard Elvis fans. And so many people would argue that Elvis was really helpful in making black music, especially the blues, more palatable for a white audience. But I'm sitting here telling you, like, is the point to make, you know, yourself more acceptable, more consumable to a people that like barely thought you were human a couple of years ago? I don't know. I'm not really sitting here thinking that you're at the moral high ground to tell me what is good and bad when like I wasn't considered human and you were like lynching me for fun. Some people go to the movies and you guys are going to lynch shows, watching black people get lynched for fun. Sorry, you were also watching that at the movies. So I'm not really looking to this group of people to be the teller of what is good and what is entertaining and what is the best thing to consume, right? And so some people would argue that for musicians, it's a lot more complicated than saying, is Elvis racist or not? But I would like to sit here and remember or remind people that like the power of institutions and systemic discrimination, right? Like the impact and the influence that these things have. And so that for me, if you are not actively anti, you know, racist, I I don't need your tepid beliefs. I don't need your lukewarm responses. I don't need your support in darkness when I need you publicly standing for things and standing for your own beliefs, because you publicly would stand up and receive your awards. You publicly got up and sang your songs, but you can't publicly claim. And I'm not just talking about Elvis, because I'm talking about all the artists who want to sit there and consume and use Black culture, but have nothing to say when, it's time to sing about, no, I'm joking. Don't be singing no more. We know what you guys were doing at the beginning of COVID, What song was it? I don't know. Everyone thought it was going to be another Heal the World, but it wasn't. So another industry, which I don't really listen to that much, but we have K-pop, and it's appropriation, less appreciation of Black culture, right? So what I didn't know is that a lot of K-pop songs are being written by Black American songwriters, and it's ironic because of the frequent use of blackface, racial slurs, or the donning of the Black aesthetic, and yet I'm you're getting these songs from Black songwriters, and yet you're doing all these offensive stuff. Weird. We do have BTS that was giving $1 million to Black Lives Matter initiatives, but obviously that's not enough support, and the industry seems to be failing in their activism. I mean, I know everybody's not everything has to be political, but I think when you're taking and using other people's things, don't you want the longevity of those people to be around? Black people are dying, and you want to repackage their aesthetic, their lifestyle, and then sell it back to your consumers. So I was reading a Times article, and so in it's quoting Ann Douglas, who's a historian, and they say that America entertainment, whatever the state of American society, has always been integrated, if only by theft and parody. Mind-blowing. Yes, I totally agree. And so this article goes on to, talk about Blue-Eyed Souls as an example, right? So think Simply Red, George Michael, or even Adele, and talking about this type of gentrification that almost makes, Black people redundant and unnecessary, right? Blackness becomes unnecessary, and you're sitting here saying Zoya, you're being a little extreme. Am I though? Because if you're able to take the experience that you would have thought you were getting from Black people and to have people that were more palatable producing it, and you're able to consume it from them, isn't what you originally thought it was almost redundant? You don't need it anymore because you can get it from somewhere else. That's how fashion works, right? We don't go, unless you have the money to, but you don't go to these super high-end stores to get a product when you can get it cheaper for less. Fast fashion, right? It's more palatable. It's because we can afford it. It's more palatable because it's more accessible. If you aren't having, and I know it's obviously a little bit different now, but if you aren't having, record labels having Black artists perform and putting and backing money behind them, and you're able to get it from the white artists, it is more accessible to you. It becomes easy that people forget where the origins come from, or don't even realize that there was another origin, that this isn't where it starts. You're going to where you can get it. And I think it's funny because it kind of reminds me of how, there was a joke for a bit. I swear I saw it on Twitter even, but it's why do you need Black women when white women are getting booties too? Hello, as a Black woman, I'm a little offended. But no, the whole idea is I can get this somewhere else. Black women become redundant. Oh, we have these stereotypes. We see it in media all the time. Black women are angry. No, guys, I'm just angry. No, I'm joking. But you know what I mean? People are angry. People get upset. People are also not upset. People can be calm. This one shoe fits all, this paintbrush that covers a broad stroke is not accurate. And I think it's the reason why this gentrification is the reason why you have people like Jack Harlow winning a BET and it rubbing a lot of black people the wrong way. BET, Black Entertainment Television, is giving the Best Male Hip Hop Artist award to a white man. And the reason that you had things like BET come up was so that there was black representation. And I'm not trying to hate on Jack Harlow right now. I really think it's more, look at these things as examples to get an idea of why people get upset. And some people would just say it was just a cover-up so he could have people stop making memes and jokes about him not knowing that Brandy was Ray J's sister. I just want to say, though, that how come somebody like Lil Nas X wasn't even nominated, right? Like, Jack Harlow over an actual black man? And some people may say, like, there's a lot more reasons, the different issues that the black community has with, like, homophobia and the accepting of, like, masculinity and who is allowed to present a certain way. Like, obviously, these are greater issues, but I think that when you have a black award show awarding white people awards in a space where they normally have access and the ability to get those things, it just raises some eyes. What is the answer, you may say? Zoya, are we not allowed to consume other people's cultures? I think the answer is, do we know what we're doing? There is no appreciation where there is ignorance. That's the final thought I'll leave with you guys today. Well, that was this week's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you're following us on our socials. Stay connected with us, okay? On Instagram, on Twitter, Black Sprout. Maybe if you connect with me more, I'll tweet more. I don't know. Anyway, make sure you join the newsletter, and as always, interact with the podcast. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you're thinking, what you're feeling, any responses you have to the episodes, which ones are your favorite, okay? I might be putting out some polls soon. I want to feel out what are people loving, what are the topics that you keep coming back for. Let me know so I can give it to you. Anyway, thanks for listening. Bye!